I just go one. All right, I'd like to open the March 12th Foster Town Council meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the only thing I have for announcements, Foster Rec sent me this. Easter at the fairgrounds, Saturday, March 28th, 10:30 to 11. 10:30 is the arrival. 11 a.m. is the egg hunt. So, adults here, if you want to do an egg hunt, or bring your children. The rain date is March 29th. Missed that one. All right. Consent agenda?
I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We do have one excuse, sorry. Mr. Barentine is excused for work tonight from the meeting. Old business, police building update. We had a meeting, Monday. So we're looking at 2 weeks to be all buttoned up. So they're gonna start working on the interior, of the building. Cabling, wiring, all the stuff that, would need to be buttoned up for. The windows are going in between now and then. We have IT's gonna start coming through. We hired a company to come through, to do a survey to see what's actually needed in there for the IT side. Everything's gonna be new in there. It's a new station, so we're not taking the stuff that's at the old station over. So we're gonna have all new equipment there, for the police station.
It's looking great.
Yeah,
With the
it
roof
is.
and everything.
Fun,
It
yep.
really, it's coming along.
Yep, we actually have one the poles in now from Rhode Island Energy.
Mhm.
So now they can pull the power in there, and eventually the cable and stuff for the network. That's really all I have for the police building update. Is there any questions?
No. Are they still on target for July?
Yes,
Excellent.
still on target for July.
Okay,
Yep,
that's fast.
yep, absolutely. Keep moving.
Yeah.
We got the grant application.
Yep. Oh yeah, we have the grant application for through I did through Senator Reed's office. So we're putting that application through. Obviously, we're always looking for new funds coming in, and anytime we see something, we apply for it. And sometimes we get it, sometimes we don't. So the initial application already went through on that. This is just the application showing the exact funding where it's going to. So that's the next step for that one. It does look good though. All right, new business, Foster Gloucester Regional School presentation. As long as the numbers are on, yeah, on the,
Screen.
yeah, the numbers on the screen. If not, just hold the button down.
Hold.
There you go.
Yep, now you're on. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. So I'm Renee Palazzo, the superintendent of Foster Gloucester. This is Ann Goudreau, business manager. We came before you last year as well. And so Ann is going to give a brief overview of our budget, where we are at Foster Gloucester, and then you have some information in your packet already, I think, right? Okay. If there are any additional questions.
Okay, I'll just go through the packet quickly. Kelly and I did have a conversation yesterday about our debt service. That's the first page of your packet. And we are going to put on our agenda for the subcommittee meeting to develop an extended plan We have 3 years left on the bond. This year isn't much different from last year. Then the bond drops off in 28 and 29, and then it's completely off in FY 30. But we are going to put that on our agenda for subcommittee to just develop an extended plan that we'll be able to share with Foster and Gloucester. Page 2 gives you a summary of all of the expenses that we're budgeting for. It's a 2.74% increase that is offset by revenues. So the increase to the towns this year is the local appropriation is 0. If you look on page 5 of the packet, the way the breakout is this year with Foster and Gloucester, general operations based on enrollment. Foster is actually going to see a decrease this year. Gloucester is getting an increase. For capital and debt, which is based on the EWAC calculation, Foster is also seeing an increase. So overall, the appropriation is decreasing 6.13% for Foster, increase of 2.88 for Gloucester. On page 6, for the proration adjustment that we do every year, which is done to adjust based on enrollment. We use estimated, then we adjust for actual. Gloucester is receiving a negative prorated adjustment of 14,541. Foster is receiving a positive, which is calculated in the total overall appropriation adjustment of that 6.13% for Foster. Page 8 just shows what we're asking for debt service, which is adjusted or changes due to the EWAC calculation. And page 8, the capital ask that we have this year is 300,000, which is the same that we've asked in previous years. And then the last page, page 10, just gives an overview of where we expect our revenue to come in. We're using the state aid estimate that was released in January. That's the latest estimate we have for state aid. We have interest income of 120,000. Cost share adjustment are the shared services that we share with the elementary schools. So we show the whole expense for that, and then the 128,824 is what we estimate for revenue to offset that. Tuition revenues at 4.5 million, then Medicaid at 300,000, categorical at 110, and use of fund balance at 400,000 this year. And that's the overview. I don't know if you have any questions for us. Yeah.
What debts paid off? Paid off to in 2030?
FY 29 is the last year. Yep.
Is that money back to the town?
That's what we are putting on our agenda for subcommittee to review on what our needs are, and we can work with you to figure out how much of that would be coming off.
Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else?
Do you have a question, Steve?
Okay.
I know you got questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about, let me see what we talked about, the revenue, so there were questions that I asked, other questions that came up, so. One of the questions was, how could you go to a 0%? Well, it's not really going to a 0% from expenditures, they're offsetting that with their revenue. So they increased their state aid projection, so we had discussed this last year, they didn't budget what the state aid had projected at the time. But, you know, they do change it periodically, and so that's why it looks like such a large increase, but that is what the state aid is projecting, and they have traditionally been reasonably close to what they're projecting, so they're budgeting for an actual state aid, so they offset their increase in their expenditures by with additional revenue, so they didn't level fund their expenditures, which is kind of concerning, because then you'd want to ask, well, how did that happen, since everything goes up, right? But their state aid increase, they budgeted, they're increasing slowly over time their tuition revenue. So that it better reflects what they're collecting and offsets what they're spending. So their revenue increased to 2.74 and their expenditures increased to 2.74%.
And that's why they were able to level fund. Those are reasonable. They actually decreased their budget for fund balance, so they had so
Yeah, the use of fund balance from last year.
The use of fund balance basically the same. They said
Yeah.
they budgeted 400 last year and 400 this year, but they don't
Mhm.
traditionally use it. But in their other miscellaneous expense revenue last year, if you remember, we discussed it. In their other, they were using older fund balances from grants that had carried and carried and carried. So that's one of the reasons that I think that was that dropped off their miscellaneous other to, because you can't use fund balances over and over, but they don't need it to balance their budget regardless. So that was my concern last year, was that they were spending so much money that they'd already had on hand that it would impact you long term. And it's not doing that. They did budget for interest, which was a concern. It's in other revenue, miscellaneous other revenue, and so is Medicaid. So that's what's in their miscellaneous other. So they did go up in expenses. I can't analyze their expenses in detail, but I did ask her about the debt. And so she's telling Stu. I said, I asked what their long-term capital plan is, and that's what they're unsure about, but they're gonna go and they're gonna move forward with how they plan on funding this long-term capital plan, because I was clear,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
We intend to use that money. So we're actually not balancing our budget with it, but we're balancing our capital plan with it.
Right.
Because next year, their level fund, like they have a level debt payment. After that, their debt payment decreases by half. So, and then the year after that it stays the same, so that's a consistent decrease, and the year after that, it drops off completely. So in the next 3 years, we pretty much plan to phase in, because we do a 5-year capital plan, we do a 5-year tax impact plan. And we kind of have, discussed using this, not just this year, but last year and the year before, we've discussed long-term subsidizing our capital plan with this debt that's falling off. As you know, I can't tell you how many phone calls we've gotten in the last 2 days of cars stuck in mud.
Yes.
Because our roads we either need to pave, we need a better plan for our roads. So all of that's in consideration. Our debt payment is about $400,000, a little bit more than that, or like a little less, maybe. per year.
383, yeah.
Last
Yeah,
year it was
that would go a long way in our capital.
So it was last year. So the difference in what we're saving this year, we already are applying towards capital. So we're already moving towards taking our debt payment and applying it towards capital, right? We're doing it this year in the current budget that we're planning for right now. It's our plan to do that again in 2 years as we have that. So I mean, if 2 years of our debt falls in half, that's another $200,000 that we can apply towards capital. That would be our own bond issue, if need be, to repair our roads and pave some of the roads that are habitually flooding and then running. The poor guy was stuck all night.
Yeah.
On Central Pike,
Yeah,
yes.
all night, nobody could get him out,
Yeah.
so. I mean, those are concerns, but they're gonna look into it because we have to be reasonable. I am not a person, you do not hire a finance director who believes that you dump $100 million into a building and you never put another dollar in until 50 years later, when you're going out for another $100 million bond because you didn't put another dime into it. That's what too many municipalities are doing. It's not sound. You really do have to maintain your buildings. So it would be great if you could apply all of that debt towards ours, but from what I'm hearing. From a conversation with our school committee member,
Mhm.
Brandon, the other day during our police
Yep.
building meeting, I mean, what he said makes sense. He was saying they needed work on their middle school and I think their athletic field as
Athletic
well.
fields, yeah.
My point is, and my point to Ann was, then you need to tell us. You can't just do this.
Yeah, we got
last
a
minute.
plan on that. It's
We have a
look-
plan, we have a 5-year plan, we have a 3-year plan, we need to know.
Yep.
What we're
Absolutely.
doing, because we're spending that money and we're allocating that money and we have a plan, so if your plan differs from ours, it's best to be on the same page.
Right.
That's the
Yep.
conversation we had, so even if we can't apply the full $400,000 towards our capital plan or future debt. And you want it to be responsible and somehow plan to put some of that aside for when they do actually need work on the buildings that they're doing, that they're trying to maintain. That would be fine too, and it's fine to have a blended plan. but we need to know.
But it'll be good for us to know ahead of time.
We need to know.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got a plan. We got a plan too.
Scary. So
Yeah.
that we can all be on the same page, but now we had a more detailed conversation, we're gonna try to be on the same plan. So I can't really advise you if I don't have all the information, so I've been advising you one way and now I'm rethinking it based on Brendan's conversation and I have no information to really give you
Yeah.
advice, so we talked a lot about that.
Right, and I will bring it to the capital subcommittee
Yeah.
to
The
discuss.
other things we talked about, which I have a question that we didn't talk about, I would like better numbers for student population counts. Per grade if I can. Like you have this one, I don't have a problem with this year's calculation or next year's, but I project out too. So I wanna know if we're gonna be on the wrong side of a swing in the next few years, and the only way to do that is to see what the counts are per grade, so I can see who's going into your school versus who's graduating from your school. And in correlation with the same for Gloucester. So if it's similar numbers,
the
then I can
percentage.
kind of anticipate whether or not we're gonna be on the positive or negative end of the student population shift.
We were asked that question at our budget hearing on Tuesday night, and it's a valid question. We have those charts, they just were never included. It's
Yeah.
the inclusion. And
Yeah.
it's easy to include moving forward.
And I would love to put it in my audit, so I end up trying to call or I end up guessing because it's in our transmittal letter and our audit report. So I would love to have that information periodically, just because we've been really fortunate well. I hate to say it seems like we're bragging because Gloucester is not so lucky, but we've been very fortunate to be on the positive end of the student population shift, and we do feel as though we're prepared for the years that we're not, but I don't wanna over prepare because over preparing basically overtaxes.
Yeah.
So if you put too much money aside for something that's never gonna happen and you tax for all new operational expenses, you're really overtaxing. So I don't wanna ever be accused of not being respectful to the fact that we tax our revenue, all of our revenue, so. I can't really analyze without the numbers, that's all. And what else?
The fund balance.
Oh, the fund
What
balance.
is your fund balance?
It is 3.7 million, 3,798,553.
Is there unrestricted, unreserved?
That's the unrestricted.
They have like over 5 million, but they have restrictions just like we do when we,
Okay,
for capital.
Right, the most,
assets,
the
the things that are
most
already
of the rest
kind
of it is.
there,
capital.
okay, there
So
will
it's
be fun.
3,798
Yep,
in unrestricted.
and
It's like
unrestricted.
3.8, yeah, close to 3.8. Which is about 12, or it's like 14% of your operating expenses. And
Is that-
compare that first, so if you were to take 2025 operating expenses and their unreserved unreserved fund balance is about 14%, which I discussed with her as well, is quite high.
That's high.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there a requirement for schools like we do? We're supposed to carry 10.
I was gonna look up and see, I have it in here, but.
6, and then she had mentioned 8 yesterday when we were talking about it, it's 6 or 8, so it's higher than, but that's not a horrible thing, it's just. It is that it should be part of the plan, so if you need capital money, what I was saying
Yeah.
is that if you wanted to be, like, when you sell a bond, for example, right, sometimes you sell it at a premium. And when you sell that bond at a premium, say you went out for a $3 million bond and you get 3.2, right? A lot of times they'll take that 200,000 and they're amortize that over the life of the bond, so they'll take your payment, and reduce each year's payment by a portion of that $200,000 over the life of the bond, right? So they could actually have a plan to do that with fund balance, something that's, because you don't want to start budgeting fund balance to offset your operations, because
Mhm.
eventually you're not gonna have any fund balance left, and you're not gonna be able to do it. And
Right,
you won't be able to raise that increase within our 4% guidelines, right?
Yep.
So it's not a real good use of fund balance, and you don't wanna overinflate your expenditures and just start spending the money because you have it. That's not responsible or respectful to the taxpayers either, and that's not what I'm saying they're doing. So I was suggesting that it's not a bad idea to maybe institute some sort of a policy where that goes towards the capital that you're saying that you need.
Mhm.
Because those are generally one-time expenses, long-time expenses, you could actually take the difference over what you're required to have. And almost use that almost like a premium, say you need a $10 million bond to do the major work that you need on the middle school. And offset each year's bond payment towards a portion, using a portion of that unreserved fund balance till you get to the point where you're at 100%. that would be sustainable, it would be reasonable for your taxpayers, it's respectful for both communities. I'm not saying that they could do that, they do that, I have no say or control over what they do. I'm just saying that, you know, yes, they have it, you know they have it, and how could you use that responsibly? Balancing your budget and saying, hey, we're gonna cut our expenses this year by 500,000, we're gonna use fund balance, really doesn't help you next year, cause those expenses are constant, they're not going away. Where are you getting the 500,000? So you have to find some way to use it that's responsible, and I just suggested that is one option.
Mhm.
Yeah, so our policy says that we need to net 8%, which is 2.3 million. We're at 3.8, but we also have to make sure that we have in there the 400,000 that we are using for fund balance, so about 1 million.
So all of this is like a work in progress and
Yeah.
things that I brought to their attention. We started last year, more detailed this year, and then hopefully we can get some sort of. You know, it's on their plate, it's on their agenda, and we can discuss it as we move forward, because again. We're planning on using it, so. we
Yeah,
gotta Figure it out,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm sure Gloucester is as well.
Mhm.
I don't wanna speak for them, but you speak
Yep.
to their council
Yep.
sometimes. I believe that both municipalities are thinking that debt is being
Yeah, they
returned
definitely are.
entirely to us.
it's like paying off your mortgage.
It is kind of like.
It's paying off your mortgage.
Buying a car, but
Right.
if they're buying a car, you're buying a car, you only have one figure.
Well, no, or save it. It's just like that money that you're not spending anymore. I'd love to pay off my mortgage.
And I don't know enough about their expenditures to like.
Mhm.
Yeah. And a full copy of the draft of the budget is on our website, if you did want to see all of the detail.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just want to say too, our meeting is on the 24th,
Yeah.
Yeah.
at 7 PM.
Yep.
Not the
And you
17th.
adopted it yesterday.
Yes.
It was
Like we
adopted,
said.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
A couple
Yep.
nights ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Leave this on all.
Yeah, you can leave it on. Thank you. All right. Go to business license for Nickel Creek Vineyard. I have it. Oh, you have it, okay. Business license?
Yep.
You have it?
Yes, I do. Um, I will make a motion to approve the application for Nickel Creek Vineyard LLC, 12 King Road, Foster, Rhode Island.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
No, everything's in order, Sue?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a great place. I love it there. No, it's just such, I go there, we go there on Mother's Day. It's just a great place.
Any discussion? No? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Passes.
That was easy.
Yep. Next line item, we got police chief's resignation.
Is
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh, okay. Okay, I will read this. This is from the Office of Police Chief Gina Marie Lundell. And this is her resignation letter. Town Council President Stephen Pliff and honorable members of the Town Council. I am writing to formally resign from my position as Chief of Police with the Foster Police Department, effective Monday, April 6th, 2026. Serving as the Chief of Police for the residents of Foster and the members of the Foster Police Department has been an honor and a privilege. I am grateful for the trust and support I have received from both. This decision has been made after careful consideration and reflection on my personal and professional goals. Respectfully submitted, Chief Gina Marie Lindell.
I will entertain a motion to accept the resignation.
I'll make the motion to accept the resignation of Chief Gina Marie Lindell with regrets.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, any discussion? Yes.
Lynn Ryder, Burgess Road. I just want to say 3 years ago, I watched Gina come in and she was full of enthusiasm and lots of plans. And slowly over the years, I have seen her be beaten down. I don't know why, but I think losing her, particularly when we're just about to, and she worked hard on that police station as far as everything she did. It was for the safety of the officers and for the integrity, keeping the integrity of the job that they're doing. And I think that it is a real blow to the town to lose her. And it just keeps happening.
Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, job posting for the chief position. We're gonna.
I looked, I couldn't find the last posting.
You're gonna-
I just
Yeah.
figure out
What,
who has it, where it is. I don't think I created it last time.
Yeah, okay.
no,
I did not create it. I believe either the, I,
I've reached out to try to get it.
so did Tyler.
Yes.
I could ask, if it was Mark's office that had it, I will see if they were the ones that created it, I can get a copy.
Mm. And then it was, where are we posting it? Was it muni.gov or?
I didn't post it. I didn't post it on Indeed. I
Yeah.
don't know where they posted it. I know that the, all the resumes came to me.
Yes,
But I didn't post it and I can't get any information from next door where it's posted. I believe it was posted on chief sites or some sort of like police.
Oh, yeah, that-
Post something.
there is what do they call it? It's there's an association of chiefs or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
we
can do
just,
that.
yeah, we just gotta get out, like,
Posting.
yesterday.
We just-
Mhm.
Sorry.
we gotta get that out.
If we don't get the one that we used last time, well, with the job descriptions, pretty, yeah, okay.
All right.
So do we need a motion to post that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, okay,
No.
want to make sure
Let's skip down to 6 here. Interviews for town planner?
we're on 5.
No, we're gonna go to 6.
Oh, we're on 6.
Okay.
Do you want me to make a motion to move something? Or no?
No.
Or-
No.
Okay,
No, let's go to 6.
all right.
So yeah, so we're gonna start interviews for a town planner. Should probably start that next meeting.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree. It's just not sustainable, the way we're doing it right now. Our fellow will be,
This contract's up in
yeah, when is it? October
November, I believe.
or November?
November.
And we won't be able to keep all that we
Yeah.
have, so,
We're
Yeah.
basically 3 there now, 3 people, so.
right. So is
And
that,
Peter's been great and
Uh-huh.
he's still gonna help out. And
I know
working
he-
on all
he's-
the ordinances and stuff like
right,
that.
he
so-
wants, he's got stuff to finish up
But
on?
it was an interim.
Because we can't choose a soul as a whole.
Yeah.
I ran the questions by Peter again, which we used the same questions, so they were fine. And I think he would like to sit in too, just as like to see.
Oh, yeah, he should.
Yeah.
He should.
That'd be great. I don't think he actively wants to participate, but he
Yeah.
wants.
Okay. Yep.
So,
No,
That'd be helpful.
that would actually be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so wait, are we just gonna put this,
So,
the
well,
next agenda?
we can, we can put a committee together.
And that
We can do right now.
Yeah, so you want to do it that way?
So we can. You could give me a couple.
Anybody like to be on
the?
on the committee? On the planner?
Aren't you the liaison for that department?
I am.
So,
I'm one.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
one.
you can
Yeah,
do
I need
one.
another one.
Okay, I'll do it with him.
All right.
all right. And then just Peter. Me and anybody else you want, or is that fine? How about the chair of the planning board?
Anthony?
Yes.
If you can give me some times after the meeting that would work for you, I'll set that up.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Next. Follow-up, Seven Hills Group Home. So I just wanted, so we had a bunch of issues and complaints that we received from residents in the area. So we called for a meeting with the group, and we had that meeting. That was 2 months ago. And they asked for some time to put some stuff together, try to make some changes, and then re-present it to us. It was requested to do it at a town council meeting. So that's why they're here.
Thank you. So I'd like to thank the town council for inviting us to come and talk to town residents. I had the opportunity since we met last time to review comments of the residents of the Killingly area and the town of Foster. And the first thing that I'd really like to address is over the years, I've been at this for almost 30 years, been to a lot of town meetings and listened to a lot of complaints from town residents and city residents regarding group homes. I've never heard such responsible and gracious comments from town residents. So I want to thank the town of Foster for how you presented your concerns about this group home. It was impressive. And I mean that deeply and emotionally. People talked about valid things that we need to take care of as the state of Rhode Island and Seven Hills. I'm going to tell you what I heard and what I didn't hear, and it was impressive. I listened to every comment. I heard about wanting safety in the neighborhood. I heard people describe why the neighborhood isn't safe. I heard about wanting to maintain property values, which is valid. We all want to do that when we move to areas. I heard about concern about the people with disabilities, not only concern about our own families, but concern about their neighbors with disabilities. I heard people who were frustrated with the group home, but still took time to display kindness, letting them pet their goats. So I heard in that discerning between one member of the group home and another. That's kindness, that's neighborliness. I heard concerns that we have blown out windows that aren't getting fixed in a timely manner. I want to acknowledge that I wouldn't want my neighbors having blown out windows. We want to be good neighbors. People going down the street, taking off clothing, not wanting their children. I would say none of us want to see that. We want to manage that better. What I didn't hear were the kind of comments of not in my backyard kind of comments that let someone else have this problem. I didn't hear that. I heard very kind, neighborly, genuine concern. And I am impressed with the town of Foster, and thank you so much for that. And we want to address it. Marissa from Seven Hills is going to address what they want to address, but I don't want to dump on Seven Hills. The state of Rhode Island owns that group home. And I am Kevin Savage. I'm the director of the Division of Developmental Disabilities for the state. Blown out windows are the responsibility of the state. We need to work on getting windows that can withstand behavior so that they don't break easily and don't have to be replaced constantly. We've had some difficulties in how that comes about, but I will commit to working with the part of the state that actually works on home repairs so that we get the kind of windows in that are permanent, aesthetically pleasing and appropriate for the neighborhood, and last. And also on that agenda is also keep noise in, because we have a home that can it's centrally air conditioned. So you can keep windows closed and contain the noise, which I also understand is difficult for the neighborhood. But really, I just have to tell you, it's very impressive and your concerns are valid, and we're working on addressing it. Marissa already has. I know that it's been winter months, the spring is coming, so the changes that she's put in place will also address the spring. But I want you to know that we want your children to feel safe and be safe in the neighborhood. We want people to be able to walk through the neighborhood and know that it's a safe neighborhood to walk in. And we want to be good neighbors to you. We're not just asking you to be good neighbors to us, but we want to be good neighbors to you. So I'll turn it over to Marissa. And after Marissa speaks, I'm happy to answer any questions from the community.
Thank you, Kevin. So for those of you who I haven't met yet, my name is Dr. Marissa Ruff, and I'm the Vice President at Seven Hills, Rhode Island. So just really quick, because I want to make sure the community understands what Seven Hills is and who we serve. We have more than 60 years experience, and we're committed to one mission, which is promoting and encouraging the empowerment of people with significant challenges so that they may each pursue the highest possible degree of personal well-being and independence. So right here in Rhode Island, we service everything from birth through end of life and the full spectrum of disability supports. As an organization, as Kevin mentioned, we are regulated and licensed by the Department of Disabilities at BHDDH, which is where my colleague Kevin is from. And we work collaboratively with BHDDH to ensure the health and safety and well-being of the individuals that we serve. Our programs are held to rigorous standards, and we take that responsibility very seriously. So as Kevin mentioned, we met with some members of the town council in January, as well as took time to listen to the, I believe, September town council meeting and received letters from the community. So in an effort to address those very valid concerns, we have begun to do a few things. So the first thing that we did is this particular home is licensed to have 5 residents. We have voluntarily reduced that census to only have 4 residents in the home. So that's going to be 1 less resident living there. But what we also did was we're keeping staffing levels in place as if there were still 5 people living there. So that's essentially having 1-to-1 staffing, 1 staff per 1 resident. In addition to that, we do recognize the disturbances that were happening with one of our gentlemen on the street. So we have asked our staff to accompany residents on walks and use bike paths and local tracks versus the road for a lot of reasons, certainly most importantly to respect our neighbors, but also general safety. We understand from comments that cars tend to travel very fast on the road, and 40 something inches of snow certainly doesn't make for a safe experience for anybody. So we have asked them to continue to go for walks either in public places, tracks, bike paths, those things. In addition, Kevin mentioned looking at some interior design work or interior structure work. So we're looking at, and we're working with the state to create some interior wall structures that should help in soundproofing the home, particularly as the warmer months come. We are going to keep windows closed and use the central air, but we're hoping that the wall structures will add additional sound barriers for individuals who are having behavior concerns within the home. And then finally, the exterior appearance of the property. I understand the dumpster was of concern. We have worked with the dumpster company. However, they had to wait until some of the snow was melted. So that is going to be moved further back in the property. So that should be a little bit less of an eyesore to the community. And then again, we're working with the state on stronger windows so that we can hopefully reduce, some of that outward facing damage. And then in addition to that, with spring, we do have landscaping that will be coming in and looking sort of at the overall property. So just in closing, I just want to sort of echo what Kevin said. We don't want to just operate in this community. We really want to be a part of the community. We want our staff to be familiar faces to the neighborhood, and we want the individuals that we support to be known as welcomed as neighbors. I can tell you that the guys that we support there, I'm not sure who the resident is with the goats and pigs maybe, but it is a fan favorite. So our guys really appreciate that camaraderie that you have allowed to us. And this is the kind of relationship really that we're hoping to build within the town of Foster. We understand that being familiar with us takes time, but we are committed to putting in that effort. We are also open, and we mentioned this when we met with the town earlier in January, we're open for communities, for further opportunities to connect with the community, whether that means participating in community events, looking at volunteer opportunities for the folks that we serve, giving our neighbors an opportunity to meet our staff and meet the people that we support. And really simply continuing this conversation with the town in which we have a program. We believe that the more you get to know us, the more you'll see that we share the same goal, which is a safe and welcoming and thriving community for anyone who lives here. So with that, we're hopeful and grateful for an opportunity. Thank you all so much for allowing us to be here tonight and for giving us this feedback and the opportunity to make some changes. And we're looking forward to continuing this together. So with that, I'll just open it up for any questions.
So the one question I have, I know we discussed this. I was one of the council members that was there at the meeting, staffing.
Mhm.
So I know in the past, we've had issues where you had limited staffing there, whether someone was sick or
Yep.
couldn't make it to work. Are we making an extra effort to make sure we're covered, even though you went down one
Yes.
resident?
So
Okay.
we are, I mean, staffing is a real challenge in our field, but we have actually outsourced. We have started going over the border into Killingly, Connecticut to do some recruitment efforts. In other neighboring towns, we actually just hired 2 on-site supervisors who are on-site every day between the 2 of them, and there is a supervisor there every day. We also have our clinical staff that are there every day. We have had some success with staffing, so I think we're in a better place than we were certainly in January. And we're hoping that expanding those recruitment efforts into some areas that we had not yet targeted is going to help as well.
Is there more involvement with everyday staffing there now than there wasn't before? Because I know you weren't fully aware that you may have only had one
Yes,
staff member there at a time.
yeah, so we did look into all of that. We do have adequate staffing there. I think part of the problem is because we had so many vacant positions, there were a lot of fill-in staff that weren't as familiar with the folks that live there and sort of the dynamics of the house. But now that we've filled some of those key positions, we're hoping to see less of that, assuming turnover doesn't happen, as quickly as it tends to happen in our field. So we're optimistic that that should settle as well.
And without going into the trenches, but you said, were you going to have 1-to-1 staffing as needed? If someone is going for a walk that may need 2, are they going to supply 2 staff for
We have,
possibly if needed?
well, we would have to, so I can't promise that because I need to make sure there's staff at the house for the other gentlemen that are there. But what our goal is by going to a bike path or to a track, the group can kind of go
Can pop up
together.
neighborhood,
Yeah,
okay.
they can go to the neighborhood. They can go out
That's
to
something that you.
local. Yep, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
On a state level, Mr. Savage, so has there any changes besides looking into the structure of the building? Anything else that has changed in the past 2 months based on from a state perspective?
There's nothing that's changed unless there's something specific that you need us to look at, we will.
Oh, no, just the
Yeah.
the stuff that we discussed. I just didn't know whose responsibility would be.
So this, just to kind of delineate the Seven Hills is responsible for the programming, under the regulations provided by the state, but the state is responsible for the building.
Okay.
So,
Basically.
yeah, so I wanted to
Sure.
just delineate, when the windows are blown out,
Yep.
I don't want people thinking Seven Hills they call the state and we need to repair it.
Right.
And so when I hear things like they're blown out all the time and they're constantly in disrepair, it would sound to me like we're putting in the wrong windows and we need to fix that.
Yeah.
So
And I know it's hard for you to say, but is that something that's going to be addressed in a pretty timely manner?
I believe, yes,
Yeah, we
I am
would-
going to work on that. It's on my radar now, and I will meet with the I don't like using acronyms, but I can't remember what DCAM stands for because I'm so used to hearing that. But DCAM is who I need to work with to get that into the budget and just state that we're spending more money on useless windows when we need to get in. There is a fire code issue on what kind of windows we can use. So there, it becomes a bureaucratic issue and a safety issue. So both of those things have to come together. But it is a top priority for us to get that done for everybody, for your town and for the residents. It's not safe breaking windows. So there's all kinds of issues on that.
Right.
So
Is there anything else from the council before I go to the residents?
Yes. Are we improving the reporting of emergency services?
So I will say we compared the list that you gave us when we met in January to the list that we have, and everything does match. So nothing was not reported. We
Okay,
were able
so,
to match that.
so it was reported
Correct.
and not acted on? Or,
No, everything was reported exactly the way it should have been reported.
okay.
Any other questions? Yep. I just need to come up here to the, please. You can take them with you. You can take my boy.
Come with me. Monica Kent, Cucumber Hill Road. Thank you very much for your kind response to the community's concerns. And I do feel that it is the community spirit that we are a welcoming community, but family does come first here. What we value in a small town. In response to the staffing and the 911 calls, I'm pleased to hear that the staffing ratio has increased. However, I'm just wondering, the staff that was in place or that may be in place in the future, What is the guidance from your facility as far as when to call 911? Is there a registered nurse or another paraprofessional that is able to give the orders of when to discern when they need to contact emergency medical services? Yes.
So we have a nurse, a registered nurse assigned to that program. She is not on site all the time. So what typically happens is if somebody is having a behavioral incident or a, behavioral episode, we train our staff in de-escalation protocols to the best of their ability. So sometimes you can de-escalate a situation, sometimes you can't. What typically would happen is whichever staff is not or whichever group of staff are not addressing the needs of the individual, another staff is going to call either the on-call clinician or the on-call nurse and say, here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to de-escalate. It's becoming unsafe. And then that person on call would make the decision to say, yes, we need to make sure, paramedics or EMT is contacted. So they do follow those specific protocols. It is not always foolproof. At the end of the day, if a staff feels like they are scared or they don't know what to do, we train and train and train. It doesn't necessarily mean that that impulse is not going to kick in and they're going to call emergency services, but we do train them in that process.
Is that something that you can further ensure for the safety of, it's not only the safety of the community, it's the safety of the residents and of the staff.
Yep.
I know in one particular incident, there was a young girl that was out on the street walking and she was begging my son-in-law, please don't call the police, because if, as community members, if we're witnessing this,
Sure.
our first call, we want to call 911. We want to make sure that everybody is safe, because
Of course.
like you said, with that de-escalation, we don't know,
Mhm.
we might not be trained in that or know how to respond.
Yep. Yeah, we can absolutely continue to work with our staff, and I can talk to our clinical director on, kind of beefing up that training to the staff as well.
And just one final comment is just please keep in mind that our services in town are most of it. So if there's any, this is like a long-term thing and whatnot, I just feel that as a community, maybe some further training, as you said, you'd like to be more involved in the community, should be offered on your part.
Yeah, we have,
Do you need to your emergency services?
It's a consideration.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we could do that.
I am concerned that there isn't a nurse on staff there. That's a 24-hour facility.
yeah, so just, I don't mean to interrupt you, but just by regulation, our group homes don't have a nurse on staff 24 hours a day. That's not the way that they operate. So, but we do have a nurse that is there probably 4 out of 5 days a week.
But that is what I am aware of. Why I'm questioning. Is that why there's so many 911 calls? Because it needs to be in those types of facilities when there is not a nurse on staff to assess, to evaluate, to treat.
Mhm.
The protocol is to call 911, and this is what we're seeing in the town.
Sure.
So it's clearly an indication that I hate to keep going back to staffing, but I think there just needs to be either better guidance, either that or possibly the residents are not appropriately.
Sure.
I don't know. And that's the other thing. There's been no disclosures to the community, to the neighbors, or to the town. I'm really like, we just know that, no, I don't know personally, I don't know if the town council is aware of what specific type of residents you have houses.
So I might tap you into that one. We can only give so much information. We have to protect privacy, but I can let you maybe explain that further.
So generally, we have residents who are deemed appropriate to live in the community. This isn't an institution, it's a group home for residents with disabilities, some with behavior problems, who live in the community. They don't require 24-hour nursing, but there is a nurse on call. So a nurse intervening in a behavior problem isn't going to solve the problem of, nurses aren't going to be able to restrain someone who needs restraint any differently than someone trained in a de-escalation protocol. So it's not the nurse that's going to solve the problem. It's not a medical intervention. It's a behavioral intervention. So we do have behavioral specialists on site. They're there. But sometimes they need to be evaluated in a behavioral health manner, in a mental health manner, to determine if they're a danger to themselves or someone else. Do they need to be removed? That's really the question. But thank you. And I appreciate your concern. It is concerning. And if you're not in the home and you're hearing something, it's concerning. And that's what we're trying to address. Yeah, it's concerning. So we're hearing your concerns. How do we mitigate those? So the reason for putting a wall up is there's one particular resident who's very loud. One of the reasons that he's loud is because he's agitated by other people in the home, and providing him additional privacy in the home will hopefully mitigate his behavior. So that's that intervention for that particular person. So I hope that helps. Yeah. But your input helps because you're there. So, but I don't want to just silence the people. We're actually trying to provide a better environment for them so they have more peaceful lives as well. Yeah.
I listened to the idea about walking outside town and all that. That's not immediately accessible, or that's when you're.
It would drive them to them. Yeah. 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 Thank you. Anyone else?
Any other questions or comments?
Yes. Yeah.
Can you just come up to the
You're the
mic,
next
please?
door neighbor?
Just come up to the mic, please, just so. It's just because we're on Zoom, so I want to make sure people at home can hear also.
Want me to say my name?
Yeah, just-
Michael
that's fine.
Rollo.
Just
Yeah,
your
I don't know.
address, you're good.
Michael Rollo, 92 East Killiney Road. I guess that's
That's
but
it. That's all you need.
that's
Yep.
all you want.
You can, yeah, you can go.
Yeah, so like bike paths and shit, I live next to the group home. You guys don't have any bike paths that you're gonna take the handicapped people, like, you're not gonna bring them down that type of stuff. Like, what are you guys doing with the guy that's, you know, taking his pants off in the middle of the street and walking down the road? Like, what did you do with him? What's going on with that guy? Like, what's?
Yeah,
like,
again,
that's-
I can't talk confidentiality reasons about somebody specific, but because there is no bike path in the immediate area, we do have vehicles, so we would, you know, whoever wants to go for a walk, we're
Yeah.
gonna take them in the vehicle and drive.
Yeah,
Then,
no, guys doing.
well, then there would be no opportunity to go for a walk at that point in time.
Okay, so when they get loud and they scream and they slam
Yeah.
stuff and they
And
don't
then-
wanna get in a vehicle,
Sure.
what do you guys do?
So that's when our de-escalation training would come in for our staff, and that's when our
Yeah,
clinical
yeah.
staff would support. And unfortunately, sometimes that results in having to have that person go out for an evaluation.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else? Yes, thank you.
I'm Mary Boynton. I live at 99 East Killingley Road. And I'm really happy that you guys are here. And I'm really happy that you're doing everything you can do to improve the conditions there. But I'm hearing a lot of talk about getting better windows and things like that. But my concern is if people are that volatile that they smash out windows, I'm wondering if, like someone else said, if they're appropriate for neighborhoods with children. If these patients are that volatile and that hostile and that violent. And I'm wondering, and I know about all the HIPAA laws and HIPAA violations. I actually work in behavioral health myself. So I'm wondering if, I know that the community is not privy to all that information, but I'm wondering if there could be a policy put in place when you're placing people in that home, if there could be somebody at this level, like maybe the police chief or someone on the town council that is privy to that private information to see if they are a good fit for our community. I don't know if that's possible or not. I don't know if it could be discussed, and that way there could be somebody representing us as neighbors without complaining. We already have some person in place to represent us before someone is transferred there.
Let me address that. So I appreciate that comment that part of how we choose who goes to a particular area is a match. Is it do we match it? So there are reasons not to place people in particular areas and particular homes. I'm reluctant to answer that off the top of my head, but I like cooperating with the community. And I will bring that to our legal counsel just to clear areas, but I have no problem if there's no legal obstacle to saying that we'll discuss a particular placement, particularly if it's a highly volatile person, um, with a representative of the community. And we can certainly get HIPAA clearances, if somebody has the right credentials for that. So I don't think saying that we're going to cooperate with the community, and I'll give you an example. If we had somebody who couldn't be contained in a home and they run out in a road, you wouldn't place them on a main road in Warwick, for example, where the fence is right up to Post Road or something like that, going right through this, because it would be too dangerous. So there are reasons not to place people in some physical locations. So here, there could be reasons not to place somebody in a particular physical location. So I don't see a reason why we can't figure out a way to at least include the town in what we're looking at for placements. So let me get back to you on that. It's a reasonable request.
I will say too, just to follow up to what Kevin said, we did, unfortunately, I understand Chief Gina is leaving, but we did get release assigned and had a meeting when she started so that she was aware of sort of the needs of everybody. We had HIP releases. So we did do that. And we can certainly do that again as long as we clear it with legal, but we are absolutely willing to do that.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? I appreciate you coming in. It was,
Again, thank you for your thoughtful questions. We appreciate being here.
thank you. Line item number 8, bid award for full town reevaluation. Kelly went out to bid for the revaluation. Yeah, did we? So. So obviously the bid award went to Vision.
Well, the recommendation is to.
Well, but
You're gonna award.
we're gonna award it, but I mean, because there's nobody. Yeah, there's no one does this work.
Option, the last, I wanna say, at least the last time, if not 2 times that we bid it, we only had 1 bidder. Now Karen, to be transparent, Karen actually emails all of the appraisal companies that we have a list, and she emails every one of them. So. That's it.
At least we got the one.
Yeah,
We
really.
struck One that $100,000.
Yeah.
I'd like to award it so that we can get started, because the earlier we do it, the less, surprised everyone is when we're trying to rush it through and everybody sees their new values. We want it to be in compliance. The contract will have timelines in it that are specific. And it takes a long time because it's a full reval. Where in the last 6 years, when we've had a revaluation, it's based on new permits, new builds, things like that. And then they do a statistical where they take the property values, sales values, and they analyze your house in comparison to another ranch. Say you had a ranch, and then that's how they evaluate this. They go house to house and evaluate the market and your specific property.
What was the last year we did this?
3 years ago.
And it was a statistical. That's where they.
No, the full reval.
9 years ago.
It wasn't, okay. That's what I thought, so to make sure, yeah.
It used to be, the only thing we ever did was a full revaluation every 10 years. They changed that. They said the market was too volatile.
Yeah.
Which it is true. And that market, the assessed values didn't even come close to matching what people were selling it for, either too high or too low. So they required a statistical reval every 3 years, and every third cycle, which means every 9 years, a full reval.
So that's what was added after
Yeah.
the statistical.
And this is all,
Yeah.
if
This
this is all budgeted for.
This is primarily budgeted for, I don't think we don't have 109,000 with what we're budgeting for 2027. We're budgeting 18,000, but the way we budget, it's minor, and I'm thinking I'm gonna have a surplus in my budget this year, and I'm going to ask that we reserve some of the funding and finance this year for this reval, because that's where it's funded out of. And, rather than tax the taxpayers for the additional cost next year and roll that into fund balance. Why? Let's just pay the difference, estimate what it's gonna be, because it'll be over 109,000. Something's gonna come up that it'll be a little higher. We've asked for pictures for multiple, like normally we'll get a picture of the main structure, but you have a lot of residents who have multiple main structures. You have barns that are quite large and stuff like that. So we would like a picture for those things. There are different things that
extra
Like,
charges.
That's
yeah.
extra charge,
Yeah.
yeah.
it is.
So,
That's-
I would like to earmark, or we'll do that closer to the end of the year, or through the financial town meeting as a resolution. We can, reserve a certain amount of money in our budget, my budget this year, for that specific cost to not re-tax, the same thing next year. All right?
All right.
So I'm not gonna ask for a change in our budget for this, even though I know it's over what we have.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's, yeah, okay. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to award Vision the bid.
I'll make a motion, a motion. Mission, I know. I'll make a motion to award the bid for our full reevaluation for 2026 to Vision Government Solutions, Inc.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion?
Well, you said it might go over that. I mean,
Yeah.
all right, yeah.
The main body of the contract.
Okay.
Price is 109.
Yeah.
All right,
Put
so
109.
for a project total of $109,000.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
To be clear, when the contract starts, the assessor is required to put out notice. We'll put something out on the website. People will come to your house. Residents will have full knowledge of it if they
Yep.
read their mail and their emails.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
And, the people who do come into our town, they all wear badges. I know people are in Foster are very, very sensitive about people driving on their property when they don't know them. So this is a company who's done this
only like
before.
only like 90% of the residents.
We're gonna start seeing a lot of
Uh,
So the assessors are very, very well aware. They know.
I'm sure they are.
They practically wail on the horn as they're driving down the hill. They're not trying to sneak up on anyone.
And that'll be sent on a blast also, right, so, yeah, blast email when it comes time.
Something paper, they
Yep.
all wear badges.
Yep. All right. All right, Swamp Meadow request to use Woody Loudon Center.
So, Swamp Meadow is requesting to use the Woody Loudon at half of the resident rate, which would be $37.50 per night. It would be a total of $850 for the summer. The rental dates are in here. There's quite a few of them. They want
22 days.
22 dates, and this is for rehearsals for a midsummer night's dream. And Sue, the building is available on those dates. Right now it is. Okay,
The question I have about, unless you want, I'm sorry, you want to put the motion through? We can put the motion through, then we can discuss it.
okay. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the request from the Swamp Meadow Community Theater for the use of Woody Loudon at a reduced rate for the dates listed in the agreement.
Second.
All right, we motion in a second. Discussion? So I just want to make sure, I'm okay with the reduced rate. Is it gonna cover the expense on the Woody Loudon with? I know, it's air conditioning, it's a lot of days too. It's cleaning too. Right. Well, that's why I want to know from you if you think that's feasible cost wise. It just seems like a lot of days.
I didn't realize it were gonna be that many, that
Yeah, it's a
22
lot of
days.
days.
Yes, it is.
You know, I know electricity's,
Because, maybe you could do some, and then if we have a problem with the cleaning or whatever, because of the way, the condition they leave it, then you could reconsider it at some point.
yeah. I mean, we're not gonna, we don't do a security deposit or, yeah, but it's not,
Right.
it's not, yeah, but it's not even gonna, right, I know, so.
And you pull that,
Wow.
cleans that building
Can
every
we
week. it's a lot.
require them to do the cleaning? And
what
then
happens if-
Put that as a request based on the reduced
I
rate.
mean, we're not asking them to.
It's not cleaning, just
Right.
common sense cleaning, right, right. Just,
I'm thinking the floors also.
well, yeah, sweep, just nothing,
Sweep
nothing
it.
crazy, just.
Sweep and take your trash.
I mean, I think
All the bees.
they're a community organization and they're a good organization and I don't mind giving them a break, but if that is part of it where they do have to clean,
Yeah,
They should do the thing.
like they found it. That's what we
Exactly.
kind of say that anyways. We say that, I know, and it
Yeah.
doesn't always happen. I just wanna,
I think they're pretty respectful about
yeah,
stuff. Yes.
okay. Yeah, I just wanna check, I just want. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Executive session, oh, public comment, I'm sorry, I'm gonna skip the public comment. No one signed up, but anyone want to speak? Yeah, okay.
Yes, you can.
No, public comment.
No, as far as the charter revision committee, it hasn't met in quite some time. And I know that they are going through the charter page by page by page, which is gonna take a while. And I'm just wondering if they are going to schedule some more meetings soon.
They should be.
Okay.
All right, any other public comment? Okay, now we'll go to executive session.
I move to go into executive closed session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5 for the discussion of personnel according to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A1 for discussions or work sessions regarding collective bargaining, contract negotiations, or litigation according to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A2, and to reconvene in open session and further to keep the minutes of said meeting closed and the minutes of all executive sessions held previous to this meeting be closed and remain to provisions of General Laws of Rhode Island 42-46-4 and 5.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are in executive session.
Sue this.